Time is running out in the negotiations between the EU and the UK. And what happens in these restarted talks? That's what I want to talk about in this video. I'm Mark, greetings from Germany and welcome to my channel. First of all, there's one thing nobody understands in the EU at the moment. Britain can't refuse to extend the transition period and at the same time slow down the negotiations by not wanting to negotiate several important topics. EU Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier has spent a lot of time last week in video conferences in the negotiations about a possible future trade deal. And don't forget, it was only the second round since the beginning of March because of the corona crisis and the infections of Barnier and Frost and so on and so on. And despite the real time pressure we have now, there's not really much happening there. The negotiations are carried out via video conferences with different teams on all subjects. But on the issues that are important for the European Union, there's so far absolutely no progress. And that includes the always mentioned level playing field, that includes the legal oversight over this agreement, security cooperation and fisheries. Everything is related to everything, but for the EU, fair competition is the biggest priority of all. It's reported from the negotiations that the British only want to talk about the topics they're interested in, and they're all only about trade. Everything else like fish, legal framework, level playing field is completely left out. And you have to say that is the return to the so-called British cherry picking we've seen in the discussions about the withdrawal agreement. And that time, that really poisoned the talks. We need progress in parallel on all issues, because there will not be a partial agreement in the end. The EU made this quite clear once again this week. Only individual aspects will not be the end result. And until June, there's only 2 more rounds of negotiations planned. And EU officials behind closed doors already tell us if there is no movement in the level playing field area, we can stop the negotiations already. It makes no sense to go on at all if nothing happens there. Barnier obviously doesn't want that. He tries everything. He's negotiating, and tries everything to get a balanced agreement until the end of the year. But it seems a little bit more and more that it is all in vain. And to be honest, it is a kind of a déjà vu, because that's exactly what the British did for a long time in the negotiations of the withdrawal agreement. And there's another issue the EU is not very happy about. The EU put a proposal on the table, 350 pages, for a comprehensive agreement, and the British, they just brought partial texts. And there are, especially with Barnier, a lot of doubts that the UK is holding up the withdrawal agreement in its Northern Ireland part, because he didn't get any signals from the UK that they will keep up their promises there. Boris Johnson always and always again said there will be no physical borders in Ireland. And now the EU warns them that there must be controls on animal hygiene and food control on the British side, so they can transport these goods to Northern Ireland and then to Ireland and the rest of the EU. And you can't wait with it until November. And slowly the EU is losing confidence in other areas too. For example, democracy and human rights. The EU also there wants legal text. The British side just wants to give vague assurances. But without legal text, there will be no agreements for judicial or security cooperation. And the feeling you might get is that Britain is playing on time on these issues. As you can hear, some in the British government even argue against an extension, because they say if we don't extend, in the end the EU will panic and then we, very short to the end, gonna get an agreement that we want. But you're quite mistaken there, I must tell you, because that won't happen. So what does the UK government want? Except that they really sharply rejected an extension, there's no clue about the real intention in London. And not to forget, Boris Johnson is just recovered from coronavirus and his government is under pressure now. In 2 areas, the economy is going to be hit by the coronavirus like any other economy on the world, and in case of a WTO Brexit, also by Brexit. And that's why its critics say the British economy can't take this double shock. And that is why a lot of people in the UK are demanding an extension now. So far, the only things the British side is bringing to the negotiation table is a total blockade of EU rules and legal framework. It looks like Boris Johnson is now heading for a WTO Brexit in the end of the year. And with all the experience we have now with Boris Johnson, he's absolutely to be trusted that he puts political calculation over economic reason. And that would mean that the UK is straight running into a no deal. And it's still a no deal for the Brexit time. The small parts of the withdrawal agreement that will be active after the December 31st, they really don't count there. But with the experience with Johnson, it's also still possible that he will make a complete change of his course in the last second if the political circumstances at home demand that. At the moment you can hear all these versions in Westminster, either that Johnson remains tough or that he's going to change his mind. The EU is still open for an extension, but they leave it up to the UK to ask for it. The EU will definitely not. So for many of the commentators who always say both sides can do it, they can do it, but the EU won't do it. If the British side won't, there will be definitely no extension. And in this case it's different than with a withdrawal agreement. The extension has to be asked for 6 months before the end of the year. That means they have to do it in the end of June. And that means we're all up for quite a hot summer. If you want to know more about Brexit, I put another video in the end screen. Click and enjoy. I'll see you there. Viel Spaß!